The number one biggest mistake I see in mobility and flexibility training is not going hard enough. You gotta go hard. Like actually hard. If you search mobility on YouTube, you get loads of follow-alongs covering tons of positions, which are basically just yoga routines without the breathing. Now don't get me wrong, there's no doubt that yoga can build flexibility and mobility over time. I personally did 1 year of yoga 3 times a week, and I did get overall much more flexible. But it never got me my splits. And at the end of this video, I'll show you what did. My flexibility has improved drastically since stopping yoga and similar mobility flow routines for one simple reason. Focused mobility and flexibility training allows you to properly modulate intensity better. Not being stuck in a 10, 30, or 60-minute flow routine allows you to spend more time and focus on your highest priority positions and actually make gains in them. I like to make the analogy to strength training. To get strength adaptations and grow muscle, how do we train? Do we do sets of exercises at a low to moderate intensity, back-to-back with no rest? We do not. Imagine your last strength workout and trying to do it as a 30-minute, zero-rest, non-stop flow. It might kill you. In order to complete such a high volume of work with no rest, you'd have to drop the intensity so far from your current capabilities that it just wouldn't give you the stimulus you're seeking in the first place. I believe the same thing happens when we try to approach mobility and flexibility training this way. Trying to include 20 different movements or positions back to back to back spreads our body's finite resources both to focus on the workout and to recover from it too thin. With mobility training, we want to accomplish two things. We want to build strength near the end range of motion, say the final 15% of our current range of motion, and we want to momentarily surpass our current end range by briefly reaching that end range and pushing ever so slightly past it, but not so far past that we tear the tissue. And both of these adaptations are most efficiently done with a lot of effort at a high intensity. So this is not an intent to throw shade at practices like yoga. They can be really beneficial at teaching breath and movement control and just to feel good for the body and mind. I'm a big fan of such types of flows and movements as warm-ups for other forms of exercise. But I do think of these flow type of activities as mobilizations, utilizing existing range of motion for fun, to practice articulating the joints and increasing the blood flow there, but not as mobility, where you seek to actually surpass your current abilities. To surpass yourself, the intensity needs to be higher to make rapid progress. So by all means, enjoy your mobility routines, but don't be tricked into thinking that they're the most effective way to actually improve your range of motion. So, how can we train mobility and flexibility instead? There are many ways, but here's what I do, and here's what actually got me my splits. Think of it just like you think of strength training. Choose a few exercises that focus on your goals per workout. I usually stick to 3 because I get bored much more quickly than I do with strength training. Warm up each position actively, meaning moving through your range of motion to within about 10 to 15% of the end range, and flex your agonists, the muscles that bring you into the stretch, and your antagonists, those that move you back out of it. You want to oscillate and deviate from this position here, really trying to get your tissues warm. This will be intense, but it will feel more like strength fatigue than a stretch, because you're not pushing the end range of motion yet. After the warm-up, you do 1 to 3 hard sets, each taking 30 to 90 seconds. Aim for an intensity feeling of 6 to 9 out of 10. Easier on the first one and saving the hardest for last. So in 10 minutes, you might only do 3 stretches 3 times, instead of like 10 to 15 positions with a flow, but you'll get high quality work done that will leave you seriously sore and limber afterwards, and the adaptations will come. The key principle here is using muscular strength to move in, out of, and around the target position as close to your absolute maximum end range of motion as possible. We want to build tissue capacity by controlling our body and eventually our body weight in these positions. Your muscles need to get strong in these positions to allow you to access deeper ranges over time. Thus, you need to work them hard, just like normal range of motion strength training would. Try this out and see how you get on. As always, I'm happy to help if you have any questions on your flexibility training. Hit me up in the comments. Take care, stay limber, and stay stoked.